Hello, and welcome to another review. This is quiz review for ratios, unit rates, and proportional thinking. I'm your host, Mr. Farina, and here's number 1. Larry took 22 minutes to do 13 math problems. Mary took 24 minutes to do 12 math problems. Which student did more problems per minute? Alright, well first we're going to see what is it asking us to figure out. Well, it's asking which student did more problems per minute, right? So if we were going to put our unit rates together, we're going to go like this. Problems over minutes, right? Problems comes first, minutes on the bottom. Now this problem in particular is actually quite easy, because if you really look at the what it's asking you, it's a lot easier to figure out here. So Larry took 22 minutes to do 13 math problems. We're trying to figure out who did more problems per minute. So if he did 13 math problems in 22 minutes, and she did 12 problems in 24 minutes, that means she took longer to do 12 problems, right? And he took him a shorter amount of time to do 20 to 13 math problems, which is more, in less time, right? So he did more problems and he did it in less time, which is kind of what it's asking. Which student did more problems per minute? So it's going to be him. It's really that easy. You're just going to say Larry. That's our answer. Question 2. John's Summer Baseball League has 36 13-year-olds and 48 14-year-olds. Write the ratio of 13-year-olds to 14-year-olds in all 3 forms. Alright. Well, we're just writing ratios. This was not actually asking us to do a bunch of math. So let's see what it's asking us to do first. Write the ratio of 13-year-olds, so that's going to come first, to 14-year-olds, right? Hey, I wanted this to be a different color. It didn't work. Let me try that again. 14-year-olds. Alright, so 13-year-olds is going to go on top. And I think they're trying to use the words to throw you guys off. Let's say 13-year-olds instead of the numbers. And then we're going to say 14-year-olds. Alright, so how many 13-year-olds are there? It says he has 36 right here, 36 13-year-olds. So we're just going to fill in that blank. 36. And how many 14-year-olds are there?
Ian,
Oh my goodness. Always an announcement. Alright. There are 48 14-year-olds, right? So this is our ratio right here. But we're not finished because we need to simplify. So what number goes into both these numbers? I know this 6 can go into 36. Can it go into 48? Yes, it absolutely can. So 6 divided by 6, right, if I'm simplifying, is 6. There was a way to mute announcements. Alright, so we have 6 here, and 48 divided by 6 is 8. The fact that these end up even means that I could have gone one number further, right? These are even numbers, which means I can divide both of them by 2. So 6 divided by 2 equals 3, and 8 divided by 2 equals 4. But you know what? Let me add that in here so you guys can see what I did. Divided by 6 equals 6. 48 divided by 6 equals 8. And I still had one more further. That means I could have divided by 12, because 6 times 2 equals 12, right? But I didn't. Instead I did divided by 6. So now I can go again, because these are even numbers. So 6 divided by 2 equals 3, and 8 divided by 2 equals 4. Can I simplify any further? I cannot, right? Alright, so this is our ratio, but it says to write it in 3 forms. So we have this form. This is, you're supposed to read this as 3 to 4, right? So then I can actually write 3 to 4. And I can write the ratio 3 to 4. Number 3, you can get 640 calories, I spelled that wrong, from eating 8 apples. How many calories can you get from eating 1 apple? Let's see here. So it says calories over 1 apple, right? And guess what? If it's asking for 1 apple, which is going to be our bottom number, it's also known as a unit rate, right? Because my denominator is going to equal 1. So let's fill in these blanks. Calories, we have 640. Apples, we have 8. And how do I make my bottom number equal 1, which is what we're looking for? Just one apple. Well, we have to divide by 8, right? And if I divide this by 8, I need to divide this by 8. So 8 divided by 8 equals 1. 640 divided by 8 equals, and that's something for us to figure out. So 640 always goes inside, right? Or the top number will go inside. That's how fractions work. In and out, right? Let me use my marker here. That'd be easier for me to do. Oh, that looks ugly, but we're going to use it. And then 8. 8 goes into 64 how many times? Well, 8 times 8 equals 64. You know 64 minus 64 is going to equal 0. You bring this down. And we have a 0 here. So 8 goes into 0 how many times? 0. So our answer is going to be 80 calories per apple. So unit rates work. Alright, number 4. Ignacio was going on vacation. He needs to drive 354 miles in 6 hours. What is his average speed in miles per hour? So again, if we got to put our units in here, it says average speed per, or speed in miles, I'm sorry, speed in, so it's going to be miles per hour. So how many miles is it? Just read the question. He needs to drive 354 miles. So it's going to be 354. And how many hours? 6 hours. Doing the same thing we just did. We need to figure out how to turn this into 1. And it's really simple, right? All we have to do is divide by this number. So 6 divided by 6 equals 1. Which means I need to divide 354 by 6. So it goes in. This goes out. And I'm going to leave you there. Your answer is going to be the correct answer. If you do the math right. Alright. Alright, number 5. Lisa and Susan are driving to college together. They look at a map to find out how far they have to drive. On the map, Lisa measures the distance to be 3.5 inches. How many miles do they have to drive if the map scale is 1 inch, which equals 50 miles? This is a question I don't expect to be on the test. But you know what? You never know. So it's wordy, it's a little bit scary, but it's really not that bad. What you have to do is think, let's put our proportions out here. How many miles do they have to travel if the map scale is, so let's say it says 1 inch equals 50 miles, right? That means 3.5 inches. These are, I should have put this first. Inches over miles. And we kind of have to figure out how many miles, right? This is our x, or the number we don't know. So how do I get from how do I turn this into this? Well, it's 1 times 3.5, right? This is kind of like that worksheet we worked on the other day. So 1 times 3.5 will get me that number. So this equals this, right? Let me actually move it over here so it makes more sense for you guys. 1 times 3.5 equals 3.5. So then I just have to figure out what 50 times 3.5 is. And that's going to be my answer. So 50, 3.5. And let's work this out. Alright. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25. I need to add a placeholder, because now I'm on the second number, right? I'm done with my 5. And I'm on the 3. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 5 is 15. And then you just add it together and you'll have your answer. And make sure, for when you're multiplying decimals, I have one decimal here, right? I just moved it over one time to get rid of it. So at the end, you're going to move it over how many times? Just one time back, right? So work it out and see what your answer is.